Hello, everyone. The time is 5:05, and I'm going to call this meeting to order. Could I get a roll call, please, Casey?
Christy?
Present.
Katie?
Present.
Dana?
Present.
Dan?
Present.
James?
Present.
Could I get a motion to approve? Well, we don't have any absences, right? So I don't even need that. So do we have any new business? No? Okay. Do we have any public comments out there that are unrelated to the properties tonight? Doesn't look like it. Could I get a motion to approve last meeting's minutes, please?
So moved.
I'll second that.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any guests out there that need to be introduced tonight? Doesn't look like it. And then there is no additions to the agenda. So a motion to adopt tonight's formal agenda, please.
So moved. Seconded.
All those in favor of adopting the agenda say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Luis, would you mind reading the disclaimer?
Not a problem. Chapter 16, Section 22 of the City of Kalamazoo Code of Ordinance states historical preservation is a public purpose. To serve that purpose, the Historic District Commission is hereby charged with the following responsibilities. A, the Kalamazoo Historic District Commission is empowered to regulate work on the exterior of historic resources and non-historic resources in historic districts in the City of Kalamazoo, and shall otherwise have all powers invested in historic district commissions pursuant to the Local Historic Districts Act, MCLA 399-201, and 1970 PA 169 as amended 1992. B, to regulate work on resources which, by city ordinance, are historic or non-historic resources located within local historic districts, including but not limited to the moving of any structure into or out of, or the building of any structure in an historic district. The following documents are available in the Community Planning and Economic Development Department located at 245 North Rose Street. These documents will help assist property owners in understanding the responsibilities of owning property in a local historic district. MCLA 399-201, 1970 PA 169 is amended in 1992, which is the Michigan Local Historic District Act. The Code of Ordinances of the City of Kalamazoo, Michigan, specifically Chapter 16, which deal with historic districts. The Secretary of the Interior Standards for Rehabilitation and Guidelines for Rehabilitating Historic Buildings, 1990. Standards and Guidelines for Kalamazoo Historic Districts and Maps of Kalamazoo Local Historic Districts. These documents and maps are also available on the City of Kalamazoo's website at www.kalamazoocity.org/historic preservation.
Thanks for that, Luis. Okay, calling up the first application, 1411 Grand.
Yep.
Welcome.
Hello.
Hi.
Do I have to say something or?
So if you could
It's
just
my first
briefly, if you could just briefly describe the project that you're going to be working on. It doesn't need to be anything too in-depth. They'll have, if they have any questions, they'll ask them of you, and then afterwards, there will be a vote, so.
Okay, gotcha. So we live at 1411 Grand. Our window, in the kitchen window that you can see here, lets in an insane amount of draft in the winter, so it's time to replace it. We have given you, I think, in an attachment, the type of window that we're looking to replace it with. There it is. So I'll be happy to try to answer any questions. I'm not a handy guy, so
Yeah, great. Yeah, thank you so much. So, so I guess the only question I had is the window pictured right there. Is that going to be side by side? So two windows with two separate sashes? Is that?
So they're going to open the same way that they're opening now. So it's going to be a like-for-like replacement as much as possible. We like the windows the way they are.
Great. And I'm taking a leap here, Luis, but it doesn't look like that was probably the original window that was there when the house was built.
No.
Anyways.
I'm having so many computer issues right now, but there's another picture that kind of shows, and I roughly drew in Microsoft Paint. You can see where the old lines are. Those are roughly the old outlines of the old windows. You can really see it if you go in person, and you can see it from just looking at Google Maps too, where the siding butts up to the other pieces of siding. There are also 2 pane windows, so, I mean, which came out way after this house was built. So they are not original to the property in any capacity. Only the lower window is in question, but I just wanted to show that you can also see that they're not shadow lines, but you can see where the siding was kind of spliced in on both the top and the bottom window.
Okay, great. Does anyone have any further questions on that?
I guess my only question is, can we go back to the page that shows the new window? Yes, my only question is, I guess, the grill pattern on the upper half.
I'm sorry, not to cut you off, but that's not the actual window.
That's not the actual window. Okay, so will it be like two single panes, basically?
Yeah, so it's going to
Okay.
look exactly like the one. So this is the series of windows. There's apparently all kinds of different options for every, like way too many. And so it's going to look exactly the same.
Got
It's
it.
not that one.
Perfect, because I was going to say, I don't think that fits with your other windows, so yes,
Yeah.
totally. I think you're making a good choice. Thank you.
Okay, great. Then if there's no other questions or comments, would someone want to make a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve a certificate of appropriateness for the work as described in the application as it complies with the Secretary of Interior Standards 2, 6, 9, and 10.
I'll second that.
Thanks, guys. Could I get a roll call vote, please, Casey?
Katie?
Yes.
Christy?
Yes.
Dana?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Sorry, distracted by the computer. Awesome. So the motion carries and that got approved. I can reach out to you, certainly by the end of the week, but I can hope to get some of the paperwork out to you tomorrow just to say that you're good to get going on that. I guess, I don't know, is a building permit needed just for replacing a window that's going to fit in the same opening? Okay. So this is the only approval you'll need. So once you have my letter, you can get rolling on that.
All right, awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you so
for
much.
coming in.
All right, moving on to 1006 Osborne.
Hi, my name is Don. I live at 2621 Apple Lane, Winchell area. And my son owned this home on Osborne. He passed away in June. I'm fixing it up to resell. The window in question is on the western northern part of the structure, which gets a lot of heavy rains and winter weather, and it's seriously damaged and rotted out. And I've worked with Luis and with Pella Windows. They are wanting to install a Pella Reserve, it's called. It's a double hung window that will go into to replace the existing one.
All right, well, thank you so much. I'm so sorry for your
Sure,
loss.
no, thank you.
Yeah. Does anyone have any questions regarding the windows? Again, it looks like these windows are also not original windows, so that gives us a lot of flexibility.
Just to clarify, the proposed window, it will be wood?
It is wood, yes. On both sides, we'll reuse the oak trim on the inside. They're going to take it off and reuse it on the inside, and it's a solid wooden window. It's also tempered glass because it's on a stairwell that goes to the basement, so that's required as well.
Great. Any other questions, or if not, then could I get a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve a certificate of appropriateness for the work as described in the application as it complies with the Secretary of the Interior Standards 2, 6, 9, and 10.
Seconded.
Casey, could we have a roll call vote, please?
Katie?
Yes.
Christy?
Yes.
Dana?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
All right, Don, so this one passed as well. If it's going to fit into that same opening, the same thing goes. You won't need any other building permits or anything, I don't think, to put the window in. I'll be in touch with you certainly by the end of the week, and hopefully I can get out my paperwork to you before the end of the week.
Okay,
Awesome.
thank you.
Yep, so you're good to
Thanks-
go. Thank you
thanks
so
for your
much.
help.
Of course, not a
Appreciate it.
problem.
Thank you. All right, moving on to 1406 South Westnedge.
And we can welcome up some folks, I think, from the city of the Kalamazoo for this one, just to present the case for 1406 South Westnedge. I do not see the owner of the property present right now. So if one of you guys would like to come up and just kind of, or in tandem is fine as well.
Excuse me.
Hi, my name is Carmela Haba. I'm a code compliance inspector for the city.
And I'm Roger Iverson. I'm the building official for the city.
Welcome.
You could just give us a brief rundown, I guess, of kind of the, how we got here, perhaps.
There was fire damage to the structure back in 2021, and I think it's switched owners since then. We have a new owner. We've noticed him to actually make the corrections. They have not been made. There's been attempts to reach out. Actually, he's had citations and civil infraction, and judge gave him a ruling. He did not make the corrections, so we took him to the Building Board of Appeals, and they ruled that it indeed is a dangerous structure and upheld the notice and the determination. So now we're here. He has reached out. We need some, he made application for building permit. We need some engineering for how they're gonna repair the structural damage. He gave us a letter. It was kind of vague, like we're kind of looking into it, but not, nothing definite on how to, if it's gonna withstand the new loads that are gonna be imposed on it. So he brung in, he went through our process, brung in information also, but he was kind of like, I'm gonna have a commercial component to it, and I'm gonna add this other story to it, another level, and that didn't, comport with the code. It didn't comply with the code. And I don't think it complied with this board, if you guys got to hear that previously. And so, circled back around, came back to another project review. He said he's gonna put it back the way it was. And so, we still need the engineering reports, analysis, just some details on how that structure is gonna withstand the new loads, because it's really gonna rip that, that whole lid right off, and it's gonna be a new roof system. And haven't received any of the documents. So he's got an application in for a permit, but it's on hold, awaiting some engineering reports.
Gotcha. So you're talking for the bigger part of the structure, the top roof that's got the hole in it. That's what has to all come off and go back on.
Yes.
And then, like this is, since I've been on the commission, this is like, the third or fourth time this house has come in front of us. And there were requests to demo it in the past, which we denied. One gentleman, I think, bought it as an investment, somehow thinking he was going to demo it right away, and that didn't work because we had told the previous owner. So you're in front of this commission as the representative of the city, saying that you would want to tear it down? Is that what I should understand?
We've had multiple complaints from the community and neighbors. Just they're tired of looking at it, and then I am, as staff, in support of the Building Board of Appeals decision to abate the nuisance.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and a couple points of clarification. So the fire happened in January 2021. By the time that I came on with the city, the second owner was on board.
Yeah.
I initially made contact with the second owner along with Sharon Ferraro. We went to the property and told the owner, who is not the current owner, you need to do something about the roof, right? 9 months later, nothing had been done with the roof, and the property owner came to me and said, hey, I want to demo it now. Come inside, it's full of mold. That'll be a really good case for them to tear it down. And I said, no, it's neglect. That was the reason I was not in support of demo the second time, because it was verging on demo by neglect. But that was also only 1 year after the fire had happened.
Right.
The current owner has never petitioned ever to demolish the property. So we have never heard him say that he wanted to demolish it. But we have also not seen any substantial progress moving forward, right? So this went to the Building Board of Appeals in March of 2024. The Building Board of Appeals is another body of the city or another board of the city, and it said, we've deemed this building to be dangerous, and now we are legally allowed to take action, right? One of those actions is demolition. The historic was the only thing that was holding that up at this point, right? You can see, I think, and I know that I gave you guys a lot of reading this time, but I think you can see that it is completely demonstrated through there that the city, I think, has made every good faith effort to try to work with this gentleman to say, hey, we need some drawings, right? We need to see what's going to happen next with the property because, frankly, it not only is a blight, but if the Building Board of Appeals has deemed it to be dangerous, right? That to me really satisfies the notice to proceed criteria A, which that the resource constitutes a hazard to the public safety, right? And then when you look at D, that's a body of the public, right? Made up of the public. D, retaining the resources not in the best interest of the majority of the community. They've also demonstrated then as a citizen body saying, hey, it's not something, and I could read the entire blurb if you want me to, but it's not something that they deemed then to be in the interest of the majority of the community to retain as well. I think we have seen this one before. I did not include old HDC drawings or anything because I didn't find that it was 100% applicable in this case. The most recent things that were submitted were the same. I think what we noticed as well going through this was that some of the, and you guys pointed this out in the HDC hearings as well, the drawings were not to scale and it was really hard for you guys to discern what was going on when there was numbers on it that obviously did not align with the heights that were being represented in the drawings. And we have not got new drawings to substantiate that are, like Roger said, that are going to comport with what you guys approved. That was one of the reasons that I also kind of put the brakes on a little bit earlier as well. The building permit was filed for in February of this year. The initial building permit, you can correct me if I'm wrong, is good, that's good for 6 months.
The application is.
Yeah, yep. And we hit that 6-month mark on the 20th of August. And we even allowed a little bit of grace period after that to say, hey man, get us the drawings after Labor Day. We have still not gotten anything. So I think that, again, I'm sorry that I gave you guys 78 pages, I think is where it landed of stuff to read through, but
and I guess
everything there.
My typically, like the house owner is coming in front of us with asking permission to tear down their house or their structure, and if that was just the case, I think we would say no because they haven't done that, and so in some way by having the city come around and speak for them, it's almost like it's an interesting thing that I haven't experienced before, and so like
neither
it's like it's like almost like doing the homeowner a favor by it's almost rewarding the negligence by getting what they want in the.
And so those are all things that we cannot consider as this board underneath the 4 criteria that we're looking at. Now I will say that I'm not trying to dismiss the concerns that you had. I also had those concerns. I reached out to Grand Rapids, my counterpart, and then the housing manager's counterpart replied in an email and they said, yes, we have done that before. Technically, the law states that whoever's proposing to do the work can be an applicant. Okay. The city, in essence, is the one that's proposing to do the work of the demolition in this capacity here.
So we should envision it like that. The city is the applicant.
Yes,
we're hearing them
completely.
out. And then, then moving on to that, there is no saving this house at this point. If it was that moldy and ruined 1 year in, I'm sure it's way worse now.
4 years later. Yeah. So my question.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, go ahead.
I would say, I guess if you have enough money, you can fix anything.
Yeah.
But he hasn't shown really a good faith to keep his word on. He keeps saying, "Oh, I promised we're going to get started here," and then he says his design professional or engineer puts him on the back burner for somebody else that they deem more important than him, which is not the city's issue. We're here before you today to say that it's a blight on the community, and we want to eliminate the blight.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
I have a quick question. Will the city pay for the demolition then?
The city has a fire escrow fund that by state law,
Yeah.
we're participants in. And so they give us a certain percentage of the insured amount from the original insured, which is not this owner here. So they got their money, they in turn sold it. We kept fire escrow, which may or may not be enough to actually perform the demolition after we get bids, but it will go towards that.
And then does the owner have, like, can you all charge him for the difference? Or, because I was reading through everything, which Ms. Habaye's incredibly patient with him throughout this entire ordeal, and which is commendable. And I see that he only got like a $75 fine for whatever. Is there any, like, and I know this is not part of this decision-making here, but I'm just curious as a citizen of Kalamazoo, what's the repercussions for him if it does get torn down by the city? Does he just then have a clear lot that he can do whatever with?
I'm assuming that would be the
Okay.
case. He just continue to pay taxes on his vacant lot.
Okay, all right, thank you.
That was essentially my question as well, is what happens with the property after the demolition, if it, given the kind of negligence and the citations against him, I didn't know if it was the city then taking over the lot or if it stayed owned by.
No, I don't think it's like an eminent domain situation where we just take it. But I think that there may be some way that it goes on to his taxes. I'm not sure. That's probably more of a legal question for our.
Well, then along that same line of questioning, and Luis, I think this is towards you. I mean, if we say no, do we have any tools or anything that can force him to do something, or
I
other
think
than?
what we're butting up against right now first is looking at some of the things in the notice to proceed criteria, right? It turns into like public health things to me, first of all. In my opinion, building a case for demolition by neglect would take a long time because you fully need to demonstrate the neglect has been carried out. I mean, he wasn't the one that owned it when the fire happened. He probably did come in with good faith and bought it, whatever it was, 2 years after the fire happened. So I don't think that, in my opinion, I could not have demonstrated over those 2 years that he has neglected the property to the point where it now needs to be demolished, right? There are other avenues then that were pursued through the city, like going to the Building Board of Appeals to say, this building is dangerous, it needs to be torn down. And then, you know, so I think that the demo by neglect would have been one of those routes. But in speaking with folks too, again, it turns into, I think, this is a unique case where it's gotten sold off so many times. Two, not so many, I don't mean to exaggerate anything. And I'm not sure I can necessarily speak to the repercussions that can be handed down to someone professionally or otherwise, right? There is a lien on there's not a lien. There's the escrow that we have in the property, right, to say that we're gonna use some of that to tear it down, and then whatever other funds we choose to use to tear it down with, like Roger said, I can't say how that's gonna pan out at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I also just want us to be mindful that, you know, curiosity surrounding those things, I guess, is something that I can't stop you from having, right? But I don't want it to influence our decision in this.
I guess it's hard for me because it's still a historic home in a historic district, and in a different situation, I wouldn't say that you can't tear it down. But the public health, I definitely acknowledge that, and I see that, and that's moving me into the zone of, you know, just chalking up as like, this is a very strange case.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I think in all of the reading that we got, it was clear that he was getting like weekly you all were getting like weekly or bi-weekly complaints, and you've reached out numerous times. It's just an unfortunate situation of someone intentionally or unintentionally taking advantage of the system in a way. Yeah.
And it does feel like a loophole in the system.
Does.
Where I'll just stop engaging and then I'll,
Yeah, and I'll pay a $75 fine and
right,
whatever.
and then I get my lot cleared for me, and
Yeah.
you know, so okay, that's where I'm at. I mean, does anyone have?
I do want to add one quick thing, though. Back when the civil infraction took place last year, the judge did order a daily fee of $50, and I did not charge that because of his and I's consistent, I guess, promises over by email. So I kept telling him, okay, well, at one point you're going to start being charged this, and I just kept giving it time. But now, however, that is what he's being charged per day.
Okay.
I didn't charge last month, and only because he had set up these meetings with us and all this and stuff. But moving forward, it's going to be $1,500 a month that he's going to be billed. And I know that once I've seen it before. Once homeowners know about that, they either let go of the property, back to taxes because they can't afford that, or that's it. Really, that's all I've seen is let go on the property. So just to add that in there, before you guys make your decision on that, he's going to be billed $1,500 a month from here until he either decides to sell it or taxes get him for it.
Okay. Well, yeah, thanks for that.
Yeah, that's helpful.
And I truly do think that this highlights what so many people always have questions about. There's maybe, people, finger wagging is probably the wrong term, but people will say like, well, why aren't you doing anything about that property? Not you guys, but the public will say this, and it's a long process, right? And I think that that's it's fair, and it should be, it should not be an immediate process, right? But it takes a long time, and you can look at it pretty much in 6-month increments. 6 months, and let's see what happens, and then did you make some movement on it? And that could move the needle one way or the other, and then 6 more months, and let's see what happens. And I think that this one was a chain. You can link 6 months together for 4 years, and this is where we get with the property then at this point.
Does the property still, do you guys deem it to still have significant historical significance even after this is becoming dilapidated to this point?
That's a good question, because I was sitting here thinking about, our purpose and the regulations and the standards are all designed to preserve historic homes. And it seems like this is, it would be, how do I want to say it, ironic to say we're going to preserve a condemned building. That seems taking it a little bit far. So I agree with your point. If it's condemned and if it's been in this condition for this many years, I would be hard pressed to say that it still has historic significance.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's unprecedented or not, but it seems like we would run into, we got one city board opposed to, it'd be like this, and it's like, so it'd probably be something that we talked to the city attorney prior to coming here. So this is part of our due diligence to abate the nuisance and, try to answer the questions that the neighbors are having, like, hey, why haven't you done anything? Right. So.
Okay, well, yeah, thanks for, explaining it and representing the city on that.
Yeah, I had a couple questions.
okay.
I don't know if anyone can answer them, but first, it's unfortunate that we're here from both sides, absolutely. I know the Historic District had spoken several times with the owner, and he had presented multiple plans for a remodel, whatever you want to call it, rehab. And we had approved a plan, and I agree, we did not necessarily know that it was apples to apples proportionately, but was there never a structural evaluation done of this building even 4 years ago? Does anyone know? Because I'm surprised that we went as far as approving plans if no one knew if the building was salvageable. Can anyone answer that?
They weren't approved. That was the problem. We were holding on to the application, waiting for the details for that. We did get a letter. It was it stated that they were going to look into it further.
And we've gotten two such letters. And I think that this really does highlight, too, the way that some of the development process works, right? So who can you get? We went to, I believe, a projects review meeting for this, and it must have been 2 years ago now. And I stood behind your guys' decision very, very firmly, because he said to us in that meeting that we had here that the peak of the roof would not be more than 4 foot taller than the building is right now. The drawings that we got into project review committee were 12 foot taller. So I said, absolutely not.
Was that after our?
After this.
Okay.
So I said, you will be going back to the Historic District Commission unless you can demonstrate to me that you're not going to make it more than 4 foot taller. I never got those drawings. So that's what I was waiting for since February of this year. as far as the structural things go, I mean, we never got solid confirmation, and that was what the building department was going to need to move forward with anything to say, you know, we're going to let you build.
Right. I think they, basically, it was just like an order of operations. We had to give them permission to do it, and then they had to go
And let
and
it go.
get the technical.
I guess I'm conflicted, but I think I know where I stand deep down, but just calling out it as kind of with our goal of preserving historic homes, it feels like the process has kind of failed this home in a sense, just because of circumstances. I'm not faulting anyone. I think everyone's done exactly what they should have done in this process, but like, I guess it feels like due to the owner's circumstances, whether it's intentional inaction, whether it's financial, I don't know, it feels like because he wasn't able to follow through on his intentions in a timely manner, now it's almost like the home is being penalized. However, it does here to help that even right after the fire, you guys had seen the home and said there was substantial mold. And I don't recall that being presented to us when he brought the plans for rehabilitation. So I think that helps give me a larger story, I guess, of the state of the home, because if it was that perhaps hazardous back then, I can only imagine, like you guys said, after 4 more years of having a wholly tarped roof, you know, I can only imagine. So I guess it's just kind of unfortunate, and I just feel like this poor home is kind of victim of circumstance, but I think there were good intentions at the start of this project. So I guess that's just my comment.
I'd also like to commend the city for the patience that it's shown in this. I mean, there are a number of buildings around that are, you know, in very bad shape, but I know that people are working slowly, but they are working on them. So I appreciate the fact that the city does show some patience, and it just seems to me that, yeah, your patience has run out, and I'm convinced that it is a dangerous building, and it would be better if it were not there.
I agree with these last few comments that have been made, and I'll add that it speaks volumes that it's the city here speaking on behalf of this property in this application rather than the property owner. And I think you've demonstrated that you know, the interest is not only about the property itself, but the neighboring properties that are also still in the district and keeping those safe as well. So thank you.
Okay, then could I get someone to make a motion to approve?
And I'm sorry, something weird happened when I wrote the report, so you can model the motion off of number 3, but just approve instead of deny. It looks like I just accidentally cut it out, so I apologize.
I'll move to approve a certificate of appropriateness.
No, sorry, notice to proceed.
And I'll make a motion to approve a notice to proceed based on criteria A and D.
Seconded.
Casey, could we get a roll call vote, please?
Katie?
Yes.
Christy?
Yes.
Dana?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Awesome. So the HDC has approved notice to proceed for the building to demolish the building, which means that they are allowing for the demolition of the building. So, I mean, I'll see you guys tomorrow, and we can kind of figure out what the next steps are in moving forward and contacting the owner. So, thank you guys for giving your time and
Thank
being
you.
here
Thanks
this
for your
evening.
time.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. Okay, moving on to the coordinators' reports.
Yeah. Sorry that there's a blank one in there, too. Learning every day with the software, right? So, a bunch of roofs I think you guys will see throughout here. Sign reface, which is literally just putting a new panel into a sign cabinet at well, it's not even a sign cabinet in that case. 632 Locust is the New Day Church on Locust Street, if you guys are familiar with it, a little bit north of O'Duffy's. Nothing here that's too substantial or too crazy, in my opinion, but if folks have questions about them, please do let me know. Yeah, pretty cut and dry for this month.
Okay, great. Then, yeah, I guess it's 5:40. I'm going to adjourn the meeting. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.